Hello, everyone. Welcome to Paul's Common Touch of Fantasy. These are the books that I've read this last week. You can find the written reviews at commontouchoffantasy.com. The links will be in the description box below if you want to follow along. Also, if I remember, I'll put the Goodreads links to the books that I talk about as well. The first thing I finished last week was an audiobook. It was Deadline by Mira. This is the second book in the Newsflesh trilogy, and I loved Feed, the first book, but this second book was way different. First thing that was different was we have now a point of view from the point of view of Sean. The first book we had the point of view from Georgia, and Georgia is an amazing character. She's a very intelligent and focused female character that I absolutely loved. Sean, on the other hand, in this second book, is a very hot-headed, temperamental, and just not that great of a person. He reacts instead of thinking, and I just didn't care for him as the point of view character. Many times, Mira Grant, who's also Shana McGuire, tells us that Sean has no qualms about hitting women, and I found this to be very problematic, and it really made me not like this character at all. Just because it's in a zombie apocalypse type story doesn't mean it's okay. The stresses of life doesn't allow you to hit women. That just doesn't make sense. So in this book, it's more of a thriller instead of a political thriller, and the zombies are much more a part of the plot in this second book, and that's why I didn't really care for it as much as the first one. I thought the political aspect in the first one made the book. It was great, and Georgia, the main character, was great. And this one, with Sean as the main character, I just did not like this thriller CDC type plot as much as the first one with the presidential campaign. Also, there were hints of Georgia and Sean, who are siblings, but they're not blood related, but they were adopted by the same parents. There were like some icky things about like their relationship. At first, in the first book, I thought they just had a very codependent relationship because of like the whole zombie thing and the abusive parents. But in this second book, Mira Grant hints at them having maybe romantic feelings with each other, and it's just kind of icky and gross. I'm not okay with that. So overall, I gave it a 2. The ending was very strong, though. It makes me want to read a third one, even though I didn't really care for this one. But the ending was strong. The next book that I read was Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. I struggled a little bit with this. I struggled because Terry Pratchett has chaos and randomness in his books, and sometimes I'm like, what is going on? I just had no idea what the main plot line was. But I think a part of that was my issue reading it. I had a very hard time focusing on this book, and I read it in short bursts, like 20 pages here or 30 pages here, when I should have read it in like large chunks. So if you're gonna read Terry Pratchett, I definitely recommend you read his books in large chunks. They just make a lot more sense. At the end of the book, all the plot lines came together and things made more sense. Basically, the Hogfather is missing, and Death becomes the Hogfather, who is like a Santa Claus-like creature, and delivers presents to people, and hilarity ensues. Susan, his granddaughter, is trying to figure out what's really going on. There's a bunch of other characters, and the other side plots and different things like that did not interest me as much. They all ended up tying together, but throughout the book, there were parts of it that I kind of just my mind just kind of wandered a little bit while reading it, because I wasn't really that interested in those specific plot lines. There are no chapter breaks in this, so it's kind of a weird book in that regard. I liked the talk about religion and belief, Pratchett basically says that belief is important because to believe the small things makes you believe the big things, the big ideas like justice and law and mercy, things like that. And I thought that was very interesting. He's basically saying, even though I don't believe in faith as a person, I still respect those that have faith, and that faith that gives them hope, and that is important. That's important for humankind. It was a fun Christmassy book, but I'm still looking for that Pratchett book that I absolutely love. The third book that I finished was Star Wars Catalyst. This is a Rogue One novel by James Luceno. This one I had mixed feelings with too. I gave it a 2 out of 5. What's cool about this book is that it gives you a background of the Death Star, how it was created, who was involved in its creation. It answered a lot of those questions that you hear within nerdy conversations about people that's building a Death Star, if it blew up, all the people that died, and things like that. It kind of answers some of those type of questions. Also, the power source that runs the Death Star, that creates the giant weapon, is these special crystals that Jedi actually use in their lightsabers to make the lightsabers. I thought that was the coolest part of this book, and I love that aspect of this book. It's kind of a engineering type thing about figuring out how to create the Death Star, how to power it. We follow this scientist, and he thinks he's working on creating a powerful energy substitution to help the world, help the universe, but in fact he's creating the powered energy required to create a ginormous weapon to kill a bunch of people. And the person that is manipulating him is his ex-school university friend, and he works for the Republic, which turns into the Empire. And this scientist, he is very confused about what's going on politically within the universe, and so he gets taken advantage of a little bit. He has a wife that is always telling him, this is wrong, you got to watch out for this guy, but of course he doesn't listen. And he has a young daughter. The young daughter is the star of the movie. What's good about this is we have a background of Jin's parents. Jin is the young girl that's in the movie. We have a background of her parents and the connection that they have to the main bad guy with the Death Star. And I think that background information will help people when they go and watch the movie. Now, as a standalone book on its own, this is so uneventful. It basically could be told in 10 pages. There could be a 3-minute backstory clip in the movie, and it would pretty much summarize this entire book. So this entire book is very uneventful. Not a whole lot happens. There is a side story with a smuggler, Ha Zolbit. I'm not sure if he's in the movie, but that was just okay. I don't recommend this. I think that you should spend your time on a different book. Sorry. So those are the books that I read last week. The books that I'm reading this week, I am working on The Crippled God by Steven Erikson. I'm only very short into this. I just started this today, and I'm already confused. But I'm looking forward to finishing this one. I think around Christmas, maybe Christmas Day, I'm going to read The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. Got this from the library last week. And I think that a nice, children's Christmas book of sorts would be fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Those are going to be my main reads for this week. I'm not listening to anything on audio right now. I'm in between books, so I'm probably just going to catch up on podcasts. The only thing I borrowed was actually this Catalyst book last week. That was the only thing I borrowed from the library. I did buy this Brandon Sanderson Arcanium Unbounded collection. This is a collection of a bunch of Cosmere short story works and novellas. I've wanted to buy this ever since I heard about it. I have not read a lot of Sanderson's work yet. I've read all of Mistborn, and the Mistborn novella that's in here is awesome. I read that last year, and just to have that in book form is great. And I read another one as well. But I'm looking forward to reading like The Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, and then the novellas and short stories that connect to that, and the novellas and short stories that connect to Warbreaker and Elantris. So I'm looking forward to finally reading these when I read those. And I know I'll read that eventually, so that's why I got it. Other than that, let me recommend a graphic work. This is After Death by Scott Snyder and Jeff Lemire. It is a magazine style or size thing here, and it's very cool. There's a mix of these like comic panels, like classic comic panels, but then there's like heavy prose panels, heavy writing panels like this, and just amazing illustrations from Jeff Lemire. Scott Snyder is the writer, Lemire is the artist. And I thought this was a very interesting, multiple style start of a very interesting saga here. There will be 3 of these, 3 books. They'll combine all 3 into one like big thing. So maybe wait for that. I think that comes out in like June or something. But book 1's already out. Book 2 comes out at the end of this month. Book 3 comes out, I think, at the end of next month. It's very interesting. Basically, it's a story of a young man that dies, and he ends up going to the after death, which is a place where individuals that already died live a new life, and they do a bunch of different things. And I think what he's trying to do is try to go back to the real world and do something. It's very, I don't know, mysterious, but I like it and it's cool. It's my recommendation for the comic or graphic work for this week. Other than that, I watched Suicide Squad and it was awful, terrible movie. Don't watch it. Harley Quinn was not a good character, and I was not happy with how that character was even in the story, and how she's basically just emotionally abused, and that's just icky. That part was just not cool. And the Joker, I did not like Jared Leto's Joker at all. I would have been much more happier if the whole movie was about Deadshot, Will Smith's character, because I liked Will Smith's character. It had an actual emotional depth, and the rest of them terrible. So it was not good. Don't watch it. And this is coming from a DC fanboy. Do not watch Suicide Squad. That's about it for me this week. I will see you guys next week. Hope you guys are reading an amazing book and you're really enjoying your week. And if I don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas. I hope you have an amazing time with your family and your friends and your loved ones. And it's just a fantastic day for everybody. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.